Hey everyone, it's Phil Chamberland here, aka Cookie, from Matthew, Jonathan, and John, aka Mr. Natural. Missy's been on me for a while to see about maybe doing a video. I've never done one of these before, but we'll see how it goes. Just to give a different perspective on the whole coronavirus and what it's doing and how some people may react to it. I was in Atlanta with Missy, helping her brother out, and went to Maine for my annual snowmobile trip, first part of March. And on the 14th or so, drove back here from Maine. And so it's quite possible that I caught it on the way down here. Although I was very, very careful. Whenever I went into I only stopped 4 times the whole trip and for gas and using the restroom, and I would use wipes to go into the store, and I use a different wipe to come out of the store. And then once I got back in my truck, I would wipe down my steering wheel, wipe down everything. So I feel I was pretty diligent. I wasn't wearing a mask, but felt I was pretty diligent in other ways. I used almost a whole roll of Clorox wipes in that time just to drive down here. So, and of course, Missy came back from Maine, I think, a few days before I did. And so where we got it or how we contracted it, neither one of us knows. But the bottom line is, in my opinion, it is highly contagious. So do all you can, wear a face mask from now on. Till we get this under control. My reaction to the virus was not nearly as bad as Missy's. My biggest overwhelming feeling that I had was just being tired. I mean, just tired as all get out. Not wanting to do anything, sleeping long hours. And then sitting on the sofa watching the news, and when you got tired of hearing the same thing over and over again, we'll watch videos. But I felt really tired. I had a dry cough and still cough quite a bit. And I do get mucus out every time I cough still. And I'm in day 25 now of symptoms, which if I've had the virus for a couple of weeks before I showed symptoms, then it's been well over a month, obviously. So anyways, it's pretty surreal. The hardest part for me was watching how difficult the virus was on my wife. So Missy, who's been putting on these videos, so she's the one who's going to post this one as well, but it really affected her, and it affected her pulmonary system drastically. You can see some of the videos that she's put out on the pulmonary toilet, pulmonary percussions, whatnot. Go look at those so that you can know for sure that you'll be able to help yourself or your spouse or your family members if the need arises, because it is pretty scary how much the lungs can fill up, and obviously that's in the end what is causing people to die, is they basically drown in their own fluids. I can sit here, and I'm not a guy who does dramatic drama very well, but I can sit here and tell you without any doubt in my mind that if it was not for us doing the pulmonary percussions on Missy, that she would have ended up in a hospital with the ventilator, because there were some days we were doing it 4 times, and every time we did it, and you can see in the videos that it was very productive in keeping or in expelling fluid from her lungs. And I can tell you right now that that process is very effective in clearing out lungs. And every time we did this for Missy, she would feel better for a few hours and had more energy, and then of course the fluids would start filling up again. So if you have coronavirus or suspect it or are having any tightness in your chest or whatnot, do those percussions, do them diligently. There's several times that she felt good, and so we didn't do them as often, but then by that evening she was in bad shape again, and then it was much harder to clear her lungs. Had to do the percussions a lot longer, and so it's pretty distressing because it's a lot of work for the patient to be coughing that much and be putting out and sweating and out of breath and whatnot. And so I would recommend that you just, whether you think you're needing it or not, to do it 3 times a day. Do it before lunch, because after lunch you're not going to feel like you want to work on anything. You're just going to go lay down or watch some TV. So we did it before lunch, before supper, and before going to bed, and that seems to be working, and we're still doing that. Her lungs are much clearer now and doing pretty well. She's on day 28 or so of symptoms as well. So at one point I woke up and Missy thought she might be having a cytokine storm, which is basically where the immune system is overreacting and starting to damage other organs and parts of your body. And it's actually quite a distressing syndrome, and often leads to death. And so at that point, we felt that we should take her into the hospital. Earlier, the week before that, we had gotten her tested. Test showed up negative, but we've since found out that 30+% of tests are false negatives. So you can't really trust, if you've been tested, that you are negative, even if it says you're negative. And so when we took her to the hospital, the doctors there felt pretty certain that she was a COVID patient. But I want to tell you, it's a pretty interesting situation. I've been with my wife for since she was 17, I was 18, and we've been married. So that was 41 years ago. We've been married for 33 years, and basically I had to. She says, I thought we were dating, but she says I stalked her for several years before she finally agreed to go out with me, but I thought we were dating the whole time. So that's a discrepancy between when we met and when we got married. But suffice it to say, we've been together since we were teenagers, and it's a pretty scary situation when you're taking your wife into a hospital with as a COVID patient, knowing that you won't be able to go into the hospital, and knowing that you will not be able to see her or possibly even talk to her, and that patients that go south end up dying in the hospital without ever having to say goodbye to their family. And so Missy had made calls to Joey and Erica and her parents and brothers and saying goodbye. And you're sitting here driving, watching the distress and worry and everything else that's going on, and you feel basically helpless and just keep telling yourself that it's really not happening. So it was interesting. After I dropped her off, I went and found a parking lot at Vanderbilt University and just sat there outside the hospital for about 2 hours waiting, and then dawned on me, it's not doing any good just sitting here. So drove the 15 minutes back home, and a couple hours later I was able to get a phone call from her, and they had discharged her, that she had corona, but her lungs were clear. The one thing the doctor was very impressed with is the fact that at day 22 her lungs were clear. She did have a pneumonia, but it wasn't a super bad pneumonia. The doctor told her that after 4 or 5 days, 7 days, typically people come in with, they're going to have pulmonary issues and their lungs are just full. So they were very impressed and said, just keep doing what you're doing, that she was not having a cytokine storm. And so the best thing for her was to be home and just keep trudging through it. And so that's what we did, brought her back home. But definitely a big relief, obviously, for everybody that she was not necessarily getting worse, but not getting better faster. At least she wasn't critical at that point, and so that was something that was very relieving to all of us. So let's see. At this point, I'm feeling pretty good. Missy's on her 4th day of feeling pretty good. Yesterday was not as good as the other 2 days. One of the crazy things about this disease is that it gives you false hope, and I'm not sure why that is, but you feel really, really bad for about 5 days, and then you started feeling better, and you got a couple days of, oh, I'm getting over this, and then next thing you know, wham, it hits you again, and it's like you feel like a dog, you know. And so be prepared for that, you know. And even now, pushing into day 4 for Missy, we're still tentatively optimistic that she won't take a turn for the worse again. But so far, so good. 4 days is about as long as it's been since she's been able to feel somewhat healthy and somewhat normal, able to cook now, whatnot. So, I mean, it's a weird time. We're in a very weird situation as a country, as a you know, a world, basically. I mean, we're all being isolated together, and our lives have been disrupted tremendously. You know, those of you who know me know I'm a take it as it comes kind of guy, and happy-go-lucky, and so, you know, we make the best of things, and that's all I can recommend to you is to, you know, take it as it comes, and this too shall pass, and what doesn't kill you will make you stronger. So hopefully it doesn't kill you. I will say one of the things you need to do while I'm thinking about it is drinking lots of water. Just to keep from getting dehydrated, to keep your body moist. Your lungs, you know, fluid will be thinner, and your mucus will be thinner, be easier to hack out. So, you know, what I've kind of been gauging it on, of course I drink a lot anyway, and not always whiskey, but if your urine is darker than light lemonade, then you're not drinking enough. Just keep drinking more. Practice that lost art of cooking. I mean, we're all at home now, and so we're eating in, so we've been, you know, cooking all kinds of things, and just practice the art of getting to know and conversation, right? This is an opportunity for you guys to spend some quality time with your family. Sometimes difficult to do when you're in distress or whatnot, but you're at home, you're together. If you have your health, you know, count those blessings. But otherwise, just, you know, remember the times that you, when you were younger, when you first met, and the conversations you had, and about more than just the kids or whatnot, and go ahead and get to know each other better again. Missy and I have been empty nesters for a while, so we've had that opportunity to reacquaint ourselves after kids. So I know it's harder to do if you have kids at home, but just remember the person you married is still that person sitting in front of you, even if they're much older. Now, you know, the one thing that is true in life is that you don't change people, and people don't change. And so just remember that this is the person you fell in love with, and that you're couldn't do without, and you used to have great conversations, and you can do that as well. So anyways, it's just a little bit of something to give you some ideas as what to expect. I know that it's not as exciting as Missy's videos, but she felt that it might be to give you a perspective of what it felt like to be the spouse. It was definitely difficult for both of us to have it at the same time, but I felt very blessed that I did not have the symptoms or the same acuteness of this as Missy had. And so here we are. Cheers. We're on the mend, and should be heading to the Butte sometime in the end of May or first part of June anyway to get to work. hopefully, and we'll go from there. So y'all have a good day, and we love you. Bye-bye.